But if you keep it kind of... Yeah. It's 'cause
My
you're thinking
arm's getting
about-
tired.
You're thinking about the violin.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the ball. Yeah. Give me a music stand right here.
I'm here with Elaine Bastos. She is our amazing violin teacher here at Oklahoma Academy of Music and Fine Arts. So tell us a little bit about students who are starting violin for the first time. Mm-hmm. What are some things that they may be thinking about the violin that aren't exactly correct when they start?
Yeah, I think the main initial assumption is that you're going to pick up the violin and just be able to play a song. But because the violin is such an old instrument, it requires a lot more preparation to get to that stage. You need to work a lot more on the posture, on how to make a sound. And then once you have those things in place, you're going to feel more comfortable just bursting up and playing. But it does take a little longer to get to that stage than, let's say, a piano, where you just put your hands down, keys are there. Yeah.
So with violin, there are some kind of preparatory stages to go through to get to the point of making a satisfying sound.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You do get some satisfying little songs, and you are making music from the beginning, mm-hmm. But, to play your favorite video game song, it takes a few months at least.
Sure. You've trained at a really high level. You have your doctorate from Florida State.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You have your artist diploma from TCU. Mm-hmm. So could you share with us a little bit about that journey, high-level professional journey of being both a violinist in the academic world, but also on the stage as a performer?
I tried to the best of my ability to be able to do both. And that's one of the reasons I came to the U.S. in the first place. When I finished my master's in Brazil, by the time I'd finished, they only had PhDs. And if I had gone that route, I would mostly be writing and not performing. So that's the base of my decision to do a Doctor of Music, in me to perform a whole lot. It's hard to, play and write a treatise and, get good grades in classes, but it's doable. You just lose a little bit of hair. But yeah, that was fun. That was very difficult. The research classes and playing, because when you do a DM, you have to do recitals, you have to do lecture recitals, you have to do concerto juries, where you play a whole concert, like a whole concerto by memory. Mm-hmm. So, but it's very rewarding. And then the artist diploma is mostly focused on performing. So that's when I really had the time to just focus on my playing and work on that. So it has been a fun road. I really like both sides of the mm-hmm. equation. So it has been nice to be able to do both. I started violin very late. The first time I got to a violin class, I was 14 years old. I had just turned 14. I had never seen a violin when I decided to play. I think I was 13 the first time I heard it. I heard Villa-Lobos, the prelude for the Bacchianos No. 4. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what is this? And someone said, it's the violin. And I said, I want to play it. That was it. Mm-hmm. And I was a kid that had tried everything under the sun, and I wouldn't stick with anything. So my parents were like, she's going to forget it. But there was the one thing that stuck with me. After leaving that place where I was listening to the music, I went to a store and saw the violin through the window. I was like, oh, that's how it looks like. And then it's beautiful. And then I had to find a teacher. I found a school that was much like a El Sistema kind of social project. Mm-hmm. And that's where I studied for about 3 years. You would go every day and practice orchestra. There were not a lot of classes because they only had one teacher. So most of what I learned at that stage was from my friends.
This is a curiosity question, because there may be parents watching who are thinking about violin for their kids, or even adults who are thinking about violin. And so you said that you started late at age 14. So in the world of violin playing and string playing, what is considered an ideal start age?
I think for me, whatever age they can express that that's something they want to do. I've had students that were 4 years old and they asked to play violin. So I think as long as they're able to express that hey, I would like to do this, they're probably ready to start trying. If they start around age 7, then they're already starting to learn how to write and read. So then they can start with reading music altogether. If they start earlier than that, then they would learn, by ear a little bit more, and more like going through the motions and imitating what I'm doing. So it changed, the approach changes, but honestly, any age. I've had a student that he was 86 years old. He was one of my favorite students. He would carry the little cards with the notes. So he would look at them throughout the day. He unfortunately had to stop because his wife was very unhappy with the violin practicing. But there's not really, I mean, if you want to be a soloist or, like an orchestra player, professional orchestra player, then yes, the sooner the better. But if you want to have fun and express yourself and learn music, then there's no age.
When did you start teaching, and what was your motivation behind starting that educator journey?
Yeah, I started teaching quite early on. I was in my undergrad, and I really had not a lot of idea what I was doing. I had good mentors, and I have always been curious about how to do it and observing people that had done it before me. But I think my initial motivation was just I wanted to work with music, and that was one of the ways that I could work with music. But I always liked teaching. That was like when I would play with my dolls, I would do little schools, little books. So I think it was a natural progression that way. But I started very early, and I've been doing it ever since.
Talk to us about what kind of students you enjoy working with the most.
Curious students. Once they have the curiosity and like, oh, this makes this sound, and I can make this note, and I can play that song that I like. And once that curiosity is activated, then it's very enjoyable for all of us.
Often parents contact us because they tell us their child is being drawn to the instrument, right?
Yeah.
And you having that experience at age 13, 14 of just having that, it's like that pull to the instrument. The curiosity is built into that.
I feel like we have something in ourselves that search for the instrument or the voice that we want to do. And it's nice sharing that. It's nice sharing that, wow, that sounded pretty. Like one of my favorite things to do is student is playing something, and then we change a little bit of the setup. And I'm like, okay, now listen to this. And the sound triples. And they're like, wow, that was so loud. There's like, those little tiny moments. It's very nice. And yeah, we do connect. I think it's the law for the violin. Violin is like rock star guitar player. I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I like it. Yeah.
It's a very rock star instrument in the classical world. Yes. For a very beginner violinist coming into one of your classes or a lesson for the first time, what are some of the things that you work on with them first?
Yeah, little songs, little games. For sure, holding the violin up is the first thing you do. The first thing you do, and they do get tired, so breaks. But just little games. Hey, can you put your violin here? Like the violin prayer that we do every class. Like they put their hands together, and then this hand goes out this way is the violin, this hand goes out this way is the bow. So we do these little things. We do the
violin prayer
is a violin prayer.
Wait, no. Can you share it?
Yes.
I want to hear it. I can hold your mic here.
So we do we go up, breathe in, and then you pray, and then this hand goes out this way is the bow. This hand goes out this way is the violin.
I love that. It's great.
It's really cute. They like it. We have the ant song when they're just kind of plucking and they're not doing anything to strain us with the left hand, but they're at the same time learning how to hold it and keep it in place. And all these little things, you start holding the bow very slowly with makeup bows, not real bows, and then pencils. And so there are little songs and little things that you do throughout to make it interesting, because if it's just technique by itself, no one can stand that. But imagine little kids. But yeah, there's all these little places. And I think after you hold it, being able to move your hand out is a big step. we don't think about it, but when your hand is right here on the violin body, it's a lot more stable than when it goes to the neck, right? So getting that, like, getting over the fear that the violin is going to fall off, that's very important. And then just associating names of notes with sounds, it's a whole lot of steps.
I see you all doing a lot of rhythm, some, there's a lot of just basic music knowledge fundamentals that you do too when you kind of take those breaks from the holding the instrument.
Yeah. For me, learning music is the most important thing, right? I'm not just teaching you one skill, I'm teaching music.
Yeah.
If you decide to play another instrument, you're still going to know rhythm and notes and all that.
What does progress look like early on? What are kind of the first little markers of a student progressing with this instrument and skill?
I think personally, if they're happy, being frustrated is part of it too. So, but if they're mostly happy with it, I think once they're able to understand that certain names of notes mean certain movements on the hand and differentiate what string, what finger, that's a big progress. And playing, honestly, just playing one thing on the left hand and another thing with the bow is a very difficult thing to do because both of your arms are doing different things. So I think that's a big step. First, like, we arrived to the first big mark of your learning. To play violin, you have to think about at least 20 things at the same time. So you're not conscious of all the 20, right? It's a lot to think about. And so once they're able to do that, to play, make notes here, make sounds here, that means that those 20 thoughts are now internalized. And they're able to just play and have fun.
You use a lot of analogies, like we do in piano in our voice classes as well, to help students kind of gain these concepts of posture and movements and why they're doing them. So could you please share this adorable story with us?
Yes. So this is a story about a student that I had. This is back in Brazil. Her name was Elise. Elise must be an adult now. She was 4 years old at the time, and I taught Elise how to hold the bow. And the pinky goes on top of the bow like this. And she says, why? And I said, because the pinky is a cat, and the cat is on top of the wall. And she's like, oh, okay. That class, all good. Next class, Elise comes up like this. All the fingers on top of the bow. I was like, Elise, what's going on? And she said, all the cats are on the wall, teacher. So I had to explain to Elise, hey, just one cat, one cat. But yeah, that was such a cute moment.
That's cute.
Yeah.
So some students take our analogies literally. We have to be careful.
Yes. But it has been great because I can use the same analogy with other students and they love it. They go like, oh, all cats, just one cat. Yeah.
This is a kind of a question from parents because we get interested parents. They're curious about violin. Maybe their child has expressed curiosity about violin, but they aren't sure yet. How do we know it's time to make the commitment, or does it have to be a commitment? Can you speak a little bit to a parent who is unsure of whether to start? What are the things that you would advise them to do?
Yeah, try. It doesn't hurt to try. If anything, they'll get some experience. I think you touched on a very important point. It does not need to be a commitment. Nowadays, you can easily just rent a violin for a month or a few months, and you can return it, or any instrument for that matter, right? But yes, it's worth trying. Growing up, my favorite toy was my guitar. But my parents and nobody had no idea what a violin was, right? So imagine if they knew, and imagine if I had tried a lot earlier. And when I started, they were like, nah, it's just another phase, it's another thing she's going to try. And hey, that one stuck. So, just try. If anything, you're going to get some fun, get some experience. And learning music is so important anyways. Yes. And motor skills. And that answers your older question, like something that they can learn from the violin and the dexterity is fine motor skills. That's very, very important for anything.
And shout out to Edmond Music, who are that way across the street from us, because We send our students there often. They have a wonderful strings rental program, very flexible, very affordable. Now, something to jump on this is that when starting the violin, talk to us about getting the right size of violin.
Yes, the right size makes all the difference. But yeah, shout out to Edmond Music. They're amazing. Great program, really great people there. The right size, because literally, if you get too big of a violin, they are not going to be able to reach the notes. The little fingers won't. Or if it's too small, then it's just not gonna match. So there are simple ways that you can measure at the store. They know how to do that too. So yeah, just get the right size. And it doesn't need to be a fancy violin at all to start with, as long as it tunes and somewhat mostly works. Because like we mentioned at the beginning, we're doing simple songs and learning posture and setup, so it doesn't need to be anything too fancy at first.
Yeah. And so when getting a violin from Edmond Music, they'd get the violin itself, they'd get a bow, and a good case for that instrument as well. So can you talk a little bit about taking care of the instrument and what's important for parents to know when they rent one or purchase one?
Yes. They will get a violin, a bow, and a shoulder rest.
Oh.
That's also important. And a rosin. We had a case of a student that the zipper was not closing all the way and his violin was constantly going out of tune. I have a way worse personal story. My violin actually broke and in half in the back, and it's not operable anymore because of temperature changes, especially in Oklahoma. So cases that are protective and close all the way, they're very important. Also, kids tend to just walk around and bang them on everything, so they gotta be protective. Loosen up the bow after they practice. They usually forget that. I think the biggest enemy of the violin is water. No water around, no wet hair, just no water close to the violin. And do not give it to your little brother to play with it. Usually
it's not
badly.
A toy.
Yes.
It's not a toy.
That usually ends very badly. And don't try to tune it at home by yourself at first.
Yeah, that's important. At the beginning,
yes.
Students will not learn how to tune for a while.
No. Yes.
So they need to always let their teacher tune the violin for them.
Yes, because the strings, they do break quite easily, especially considering if it's a small violin. So, yeah, let me do that.
Outside of violin, what do you enjoy?
My pets. I have a little zoo in the house. I have 2 dogs and 2 cats. So I really enjoy spending time with them, playing with the cats, playing with the dogs, walking them. I have a hobby. I love miniatures, like those little miniature houses that takes forever to build. Yes, those are the best. But yeah.
So do you have a collection?
Used to. I still have a few of them.
Okay.
But yeah, I do. I can send you a video so if you want to show it.
Yes.
Yes.
We'll share it on Instagram.
Yes. I love miniatures. Reading just... I'm a nerd at heart, so I'm always trying to learn. I don't even like the word nerd, actually. I just like to learn new things. As long as we're learning, it's good. Mm-hmm. Coffee. And music. I'm constantly listening to music.
You do quite a bit of performing around Oklahoma. What ensembles or where are you usually performing now? Who do you play with?
At the moment, I am acting concertmaster for the Enid Symphony. That has been very fun. I really like working with them, and it's a fun group, and it's very challenging repertoire. I also play at some churches. I play with the Bethany First Church of the Nazareth most of the time. I was concertmaster for the Chamber Symphony for 3 years. That was fun. Loved that group so much. It's mostly these days Enid and some other engagements that happen.
And for anyone listening who maybe doesn't know what a concertmaster is, what does a concertmaster do?
Concertmaster is literally the person that sits on the corner and people are supposed to kind of follow. So if the concertmaster decides the bowings, which is a concept people don't think about it as much, but if your bowing is going up or down, if it's 2 notes on a bow or 1 note on a bow, the concertmaster is the one who decides what that's going to look like, and everyone kind of follows so that our bows don't look like this. Because the concertmaster sits right in front of the conductor, it's kind of the first line of communication from the conductor. You're right there, so you're seeing exactly where things are happening. And so it's another channel where the musicians can be together. They can see the conductor, they can look at you too. It used to be that the concertmaster was the conductor, right? When you think the Baroque orchestra, they didn't have conductors as frequently.
It's a big responsibility, and
Yeah.
it's something you always have to audition for.
Yes.
It's like one of the top positions you can have in an orchestra. So
Yeah.
Miss Elaine has that position, just so you all know.
I like it. It's fun. I like the challenge.
Yeah.
I like to be like, game time.
If a parent is interested in violin for their child, if an adult or a college student or someone else is interested in taking violin for themselves, what should they do next?
Well, they should contact us, schedule a meet and greet. That's a very great opportunity for us to meet each other, see, if we match. Maybe they already have an instrument, so it will be a chance for me to check what the setup they have. And schedule a meet and greet, and we go from there.
Great. Let's pull out your violin and show some stuff on it.
All right, sounds good.
Okay. Here.